Well, hey everybody, I just want to make a really quick video on how to set up the camera for Sunday mornings. So we got our camera here, and I've got a sheet of paper that has several steps on how to make sure the camera is set up and ready to go. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to be given 3 cables from the sound booth, your HDMI, your Ethernet, and your XLR for the audio. So on the camera, right here on the camera, you're going to lift up the flap, and you're going to take your HDMI mini, and you're going to plug it in there. You'll take your Ethernet, and you'll plug it in there. And then you'll take your XLR for your audio, and you're going to plug it into your input 1, as far as it'll go. Once you've got that taken care of, just do a quick check to make sure your audio settings are right where they need to be. So right up here, you've got channel 1, the audio volume. Make sure it's at 10 or almost at 10 right there. You'll pull down this little lid. Make sure that this first switch is on M. Make sure the second switch is on input 1, and the third switch is on line. And they simply just move over. If they're anything different than that, just make sure they're set on these 3 settings. And then you're all set to go on your audio. So those are the external things that you do to set up your camera and make sure it's ready to go. Now let's do some of your internal things, and there's basically 6 steps on setting up the internal settings and making sure they're all ready to go. So if you look here at your touch screen, you'll notice several settings. The first thing you want to check is you want to make sure that your resolution and frame rate are exactly what they need to be. So your resolution here, 3840 by 2160, and your frame rate is 29.97. If there are not those things, then what you need to do is you need to push menu back here behind the screen. That'll bring this up. You can cycle through a lot of your settings up here. You can push this one for recording setup. Here's your resolution. Just touch it, find the resolution. It's going to be the top one, the 3840 by 2160. That's 4K. And then, 2 below is your frame rate, and just find your frame rate and make sure it's 29.97. It's as simple as touching it to change it. Once your resolution and frame rate are right where they need to be, then you want to check 3 things: your iris, your shutter speed, and your gain. And they're right here along the left side here. The iris is the f.56, the shutter speed is the 1/60, and your gain is 25 dB. Now these settings are pretty good for the stage, and they're simple. To switch those, it's very simple. You have a button over here, custom, and if you push that, you can watch, it'll cycle through those 3 settings. And then if you need to change something, there's a small turn dial right here below the custom button, and you can see the f-stop right there is changing up and down. Leave it at about 5.6, f5.6. Push that custom again, that'll go to your shutter. You could change your shutter speed. Keep it on about 1/60th. And then for your gain, if you do need to control the light at all, the exposure, adjust your gain. That's the best thing to adjust. So the highlight should stay on the gain, and if you need it brighter or darker, then you can adjust it from there. I've found that these settings, f5.6, 1/60th, and 25, are really good. Sometimes things will need to be adjusted, but I've found that those are really good. After you've got those things checked, you'll want to do what's called a white balance to make sure that the camera is seeing color as it should be colored. Easiest way to do that, zoom in on the screen, on the big screen on the stage. Hit function, hit this funny little square triangle with a 1 on it, and then you can hit that. Hit this little button over here that looks like an abacus, and then set white balance. It'll adjust everything, it'll adjust the colors for the white balance, and then you're good to go. X out of that, you can zoom out. The last thing you want to check is your focus, and of course this will be up high, mounted against the wall, but what you can do, it's set for touch focus. You touch what you want to be to focus. Sometimes it takes a minute. If you can get a human subject up behind the pulpit, that's best. If not, try to set it on the pulpit itself, bring that into focus, and once your focus is set, There's a button over here called AF/MF. Hit that. The MF over here will line up for 61 feet, and then your focus should be locked so that if anything walks in front of your camera, the focus will stay on the stage and not adjust. One final thing, be sure that the camera is set on external HDMI only. To do that, go to Hit Menu back here. Then, under the second option up at the top and first page, it says Internal External Record. Make sure it's External Record only, HDMI. Once all those things are set and the camera is locked in the tripod mounted behind the sound booth, then you can adjust the camera position to get exactly what you need for the Sunday service.